Hey rockers, coming at you at like 2:30 in the morning here in Southern Oregon. And I was sitting around thinking of story ideas for the channel because I'm trying to get back into the groove, man, to bring regular videos more often. And tonight I'm going to go back to the recesses of my mind and I'm going to go back to the year 1991. I want to guess that's the year, really close to 91, maybe the middle of 91. I don't recollect. But my good friend Dean Dirt came down to see me from Kenosha, Wisconsin. Before I get to the story, shout out to my friend Gage. Gage made this cool bracelet for me, and it says Bloody Mess right there in beads. My name's spelled out on there. Pretty cool, man. I dig it a lot. Thank you, Gage. So tonight, like I say, going back to 1991, right? I'm living in Peoria, Illinois. One of my best friends from Kenosha, Wisconsin, legendary frontman and singer-writer for 1096. Yeah, hardcore punk band out of Kenosha, Wisconsin. Shout out to Mooney, the drummer of that great band, and he's a subscriber and he's watching right now. Right, Moon? Cheers, bro. And also shout out to Randy Rude, bass player of 1096, and the great Joe Presterol, who played guitar on this great album right here, No Retreat. Killer album, the only one they did. Dean was like a mentor in a lot of ways to a lot of people. He was definitely a teacher in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, he was a clown, but he could also be a spiritual person. But he was also a skinhead. And he was really, really diverse when it came to his eccentricities. But more than that, he was real street. He was really carrying the torch for punk rock, and he meant it. He lived it. He was the real deal. I can't stress enough that he was the real deal, actually. And if you get that No Retreat record, you'll understand. The lyrics are in there and all that good stuff. But Dean came down to visit me, which was rare. His band would come down to Peoria from Kenosha, which was, I think, about a 4-hour drive, 4.5-hour drive south for him. But he wanted to hang out with me because at that point in my own life, I had stopped. I was still in Bloody Mess and the Scabs, but I think we were at an in-between period where we weren't active real heavily. And I was kind of, wanting to hang out with Dean. And he said, you know what, I'm going to grab my dog. We're going to head down to Peoria. And he did, man. And Dean Lipke, that's his real name. But he went by Dean Lip or Dean Dirt. Some people in the old days called him Mean Dean Dirt. But here's a picture of Dean now when he came to visit me with his dog. And that was in the front yard of my house in Peoria, Illinois, living on Gale Avenue at the time. Dean came down with his dog. I think it was Sheba. God, don't quote me on that. I don't have the original. This is a blown-up picture, a copy of it. But Dean sadly passed and left here, departed this physical realm, so to speak, in 1998. So all due respect to everything being said, I'm positive that Dean would absolutely 100% give me 2 thumbs up on his willingness to me telling this story. He came down and hung out for 2 weeks, man, and he was a really hyper guy. If you think I'm hyper, sort of hyperactive, ADHD kind of stuff, Dean was pretty much more hyper than me, and when we got together, whoo, it was kind of nutty, man. But a lot of wisdom came out of those conversations, and a lot of lyric writing, a lot of ideas, a lot of belief systems were changed and altered, because Dean was a hell of a guy, man. He was deep, and a lot of people will attest to that. He was part of the legendary Kenosha, Wisconsin hardcore scene, came down to interject some love into my life. What I mean by that is at the time of my life, I was in low energy, low frequencies. I was kind of bummed out. He wanted to come and hang out with me, man, and lift my morale, lift my spirits, and go have some freaking fun and hit some bars along the way. And that's what we did. We were partying back in those days, hardcore. We'd like to drink and other stuff. Well, Dean would like to do stuff like, hey, man, let's go to like all the old man bars. And I'd be like, what do you mean? He goes, let's go down to like all the bars where all the old men and like veterans and stuff hang out, where no one else hangs out in like our age. And let's go pick these guys' brains and drink with them, bloody, and find out about their lives. And I was like, what a trip. Yeah, let's do that, man. And that's the kind of stuff we do, man. Or we find like soup kitchens and soup pantries and places where the lower income and houseless people kind of went to, street people. And he identified with them, man. He would find a kinship with these people. And many times in Kenosha, we'd go to all these soup lines to eat because we were literally hungry punk rockers that had no freaking money. And he was always super respectful and very cool. Got to know those people on a first name basis, the volunteers at these places. And we would do that in Peoria. Like go do all these pretty neat things that you wouldn't think we'd be doing. we go to like these cafeterias. Like there was one called, it was like Made Right, but it had another name and I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. It was up on Sheridan Road in Peoria, Illinois. And we would go there every single day and he would like totally flirt with this waitress and just good times at the cafes and old man bars. And we would go out drinking. We'd go see bands and stuff. And one particular night, and this is going to lead up to the fact that I ended up writing a song about what you're going to hear, you know, this little story about. And then at the end of the story, I'll tell you about the song and where that song ended up. And at the very end, I'll read the lyrics if you stick around that long. Well, Dean Dirt, me, we go out partying. We're having a good time. He's been at the house for a while. We're listening to a lot of rock and roll and punk rock. We're talking. We're engaging in all these punk rock philosophies and street poetry. You know what I'm saying? And it was cool. We really got along great, man. And one night, we went to a place called the Great Barrier Reef. And this place was a notorious bar that stayed open until 4 in the morning because most of the bars in Peoria, Illinois, when I was partying and living there, were open at 6 a.m. to 4 a.m. with 2 hours to close, and then people would be back at the bar, and I was one of them a lot of times, man. I didn't bring a drink in here, and I'm losing my voice. Uh-oh. Well, we went to this bar, the Great Barrier Reef, man, and we ended up having a good time. Matter of fact, we started drinking shots. We were drinking beer, playing pool. I think there was a band playing. We were hanging out with those dudes. We were just all over the place. It was getting really late, 2 or 3 in the morning. We were very drunk, and Dean was kind of pirate-like. Like, he would take over. He was a real dominant kind of cat, and he would just have this personality from hell that was super funny, super witty, just the kind of guy that just you either love him or hate him, basically. And he definitely had haters, but more people loved him. Dean Dirt was a stand-up motherfucker, man. Anyway, we went to the bar. We're drinking a lot. We start talking to these 2 girls. Turns out they're sisters, and it was kind of a kick for us. Ha! Well, one of them was talking to me. One of them was talking to Dean. We were both single guys at the time, so we were like out on the town, you know, to have fun, if you know what I mean. And we were usually very successful at having that kind of fun. And so we thought, let's go ahead and go for it. And these girls ended up talking to us. One of them ended up being a 6th grade school teacher, which was rather ironic because my first album is called 6th Grade Field Trip. So that was really funny, and it wasn't lost on to us. The humor was funny and noted. Well, we ended up flirting with these girls pretty hard and vice versa. We get back to my house. They follow us back in one of their cars. So we go back to my crib, start firing up the party at my house, right? We got the tunes, we got the ganja, we got some drinks there, we got the girls, right? And the girls got us, right? Well, then Dean starts being a little bit more macho than I'm used to people being, like dudes that are really like machismo. And he was like the kind of guy that would take a girl and literally, if she was kind of being mouthy or just whatever, kind of pissing him off, he would put her over his knee and spank him. Like he was into spanking. He was into that, yeah. And not just to do it because it was, you know, teaching her a girl a lesson. He liked spanking because we talked about this stuff, man. And he was doing that kind of stuff to the girl. The chick I was with, the 6th grade teacher, she was super cool. And I actually remember her name, but I'm going to leave her name out of it because that was like, 35 years ago? Yeah. So it's a long time ago, my friends. And I mean no disrespect to this woman if she sees this video. Don't even know if she's still out there. But hey, shout out to you. But we're having a good time, and I'm noticing that Dean's really pissing this girl off because he's being so dominant. He's spanking her. He's like, being like old school, like, like my dad and his kind of people used to be, and my grandparents. Like, there was a certain way that men treated women, man, that some dudes still do that today, right? But these days it's not as tolerated, and Dean was flipped over to like, I'm buzzed, I'm the man, and God damn it, you're gonna come over here and let me spank you, girl. And he would just do it lovingly, but it was like really dominant, and the chick was freaking out because she wasn't used to it. As a matter of fact, turns out she was used to being the flip. She was the manipulative kind of person that dominated people, and Dean flipped the switch on her, man, and freaked her out. And she was getting visibly pissy, and I was like, man, this dude's really tripping. And then it got to the point where she was almost like, hey, let's go, to her sister. And her sister's looking at me, and I'm looking at my bedroom, and she's like looking at the bedroom, and she says, no, we're not leaving. And I'm like, God, this poor girl, she's going to be stuck with Dean because he's out of it, man. He's drunk, and he's being Mr. Macho, punk rock, like domineering, old school, you know, Dick Van Dyke era dude. I don't know, man. But it was cool. I just went into my bedroom, and we'll leave that there, right? Well, we were so drunk, very drunk on the hard alcohol, man, which many of you can relate to. Come on, I'm just talking about the past, right? I don't drink that kind of shit anymore. Um, you know, we blacked out. We blacked out, man. In the morning, the girls were gone. And so were all my biker rings, all of Dean's rings, Dean's wallet with his ID, his money, a bunch of other stuff that we had, with us, some earrings, vice versa, some of my money. It was really intense, man, because we woke up, both of us going, what the hell? Completely having blacked out, not having passed out. So while we were sleeping, the chick I was with, and it was all consensual fun, mind you, probably went out there to her sister, because Dean at some point was probably and passed out, because I partied with him so many times over the years that's what he did. Once he was out, you couldn't even wake him up, man. I'm a light sleeper, but you could not wake Dean once he was out, because he was so high energy and just all over the place. And he would say things like, too good, and things like that. Like he had certain phrases he'd always say. Very intense cat, great guy. The girls left. They took our shit, man. We were bummed. We were like, oh, man, I was so pissed off and embarrassed and humiliated. And I'm like, that chick was so cool to me. I can't believe she's, has that kind of way of being, that she could just rip us off and not have any feelings. But the chick you were with, what happened when I went to bed? And Dean just kind of told me that, they did whatever and blah, blah, blah. And he passed out, apparently. Doesn't remember. He just probably at some point went... So I feel sorry for the girl he was with, because I don't know what went down or anything like that. But all our stuff was gone. So I only thought of one thing after I came out of my pissed off rage. And Dean was really pissed off, because his driver's license gone, money gone. He was insulted, man. And that machismo had been flipped. And now he was like, oh, man, now I've been victimized by this girl that I thought I was kind of victimizing in a Johnny Depp, Pirates of the Caribbean sort of swashbuckler way, So anyway... I started thinking, man, Dean, what can we do, man? And then it hit me. It hit me after about a day and a half. We were sitting around completely bummed out. We had a hangover. We were miserable. We started smoking the ganja. And I started doing what I do, man, thinking outside the box. And I thought, what can we do to get our shit back, man? And I decided, wait a minute, man, something hit me. She's a teacher. And then I remembered that they were from a certain town outside of Peoria, Illinois, which I won't even name. But it's a small town, and I thought, surely there's not many grade schools in the town, so I looked it up. There wasn't. So I was able to call the school she was at, get her on the phone while she was at school, and basically, I'm not going to lie here, I pretty much read her the riot act, man. We did some threatening. Me and Dean pretty much said to her collectively, don't know who said what, and if I did, I probably wouldn't admit it. But we pretty much said, you're going to wish you never would have done that. You're going to wish that you never would have stole our stuff. We will definitely make sure that you regret it, because we know where you work. We know your name. We know what city you live in. And again, we know where you work. And so we said that. We were like, all we want is our shit back. If you do that, we're going to call it cool, all right? Just bring all of our stuff back, all of it, the money, everything. And we thought, yeah, right. But then I thought, you know what? I don't think she could say no. And I felt horrible. And I told her that. I said, look, I feel shitty. What happened? She goes, it was my sister. It was the way your friend was treating her. I guess when we went to bed, he was being very dominant, if you know what I mean, and just pushing her too far. They ended up consensually doing whatever. But he was really like, to the point of like, she was like wanting to leave and couldn't and didn't. And so it was like crossing the lines there with Dean being as drunk as he was. Well, she was cool, but when that girl came out of the bedroom, her sister said, I'm taking all this stuff. And she was like, no, don't do it, because they know where I work or whatever. She had an instinctual feeling that this could come back and bite him in the ass, right? So I told this girl, I don't want to be threatening you, and I don't like that Dean's threatening you, but just bring our stuff back. This is BS, man. And so I asked her, did anything happen that I need to know about that was like illegal? She said no. So that's what I wanted to know. And nothing like that happened. So the girl ends up showing up. She says, I'll be over tomorrow at X time and I'll bring him back. Please make sure your friend's not there. Well, it just so happens that Dean rolled out of town like an hour or two before that designated time anyway. He was gone. So sure enough, knock, knock, knock on the door. The girl comes there and she's like completely like red-faced. She's like, I am so sorry, bloody, and blah, blah, blah. And I said to her very sincerely, you know what? it's over with. The whole thing was a drunken fiasco. I personally had a good time. She said, so did I. And I said, well, it was a bummer for your sister. It sucks that she chose to be a thief. I'm definitely pissed off at her. Probably not going to forgive her until I get a chance to get an apology or something. But, and she's lucky that we were forgiving. We're lucky that she was cool. And it really turned out that me and this girl ended up being friends after that. Like, we would see each other at bars, and it was always cool. Yeah, she wasn't ever like weird or anything like that. And I was just like, hey, it's over. So I was able to write it off, man. But I'll give you a little side note before I get into this song. And by the way, in respects to Dean Dirt, with massive respect to Dean Dirt. Yeah. Pretty cool. So, flash forward, just as a side note in the story before I get to the song that was born out of this entire incident that happened with me and Dean, right? Oh, by the way, I called him up when he got home, like 5-6 hours later, and I said, you're not going to believe what happened. He goes, what, man? I said, that chick came by. He goes, no way. He goes, wow. He couldn't believe it. He was freaking out. And I said, we got everything back, bro. So I put all his stuff in an envelope and mailed it out to him in a bubble mailer, probably the next day, knowing me. And Dean got all his stuff back, and he was completely blown away that I was able to get it back. So he told me to tell that chick thank you, that she was a real chick. She was cool, you know, and I did. And flash forward, though, to the year that me and Tracy, the girl that I'm with now, and have been for many years, she was at a party with me right when we first started dating, probably early 92. And we were at a party, and this girl shows up. It's the girl that stole my stuff, and the one I was with, her sister, right? And all of a sudden I told Tracy, I said, hey man, and back then Tracy was a total metalhead, leather jacket, black boots, you know, black eyeliner, just super foxy, and just totally into metal. And not a sissy, not one of those sissy people. Like, she was the kind of person with her own intellect and, quite frankly, a 4.0 psych degree, master's degree in psychology, and the second degree in religious studies. But that was years later. So Tracy's wearing a leather jacket, and I tell her, that's the girl that ripped me off with Dean. She had heard the story because I'd always talked about this incident, because later I wrote a song about it. Anyway, Tracy was so pissed, and we were starting to get kind of hammered on the beer, and she said, you want me to kick her ass? And I said, do what you got to do, because I was pissed off that girl had stolen from us. She didn't even attempt to apologize when she saw me. As a matter of fact, don't even know if I told Tracy this, but when I went to get a beer at that party, that girl was like in a side room, and she pulled me in, and she said she'd pretty much do whatever I wanted to call it good. And she was being very sexual with me. And I said, no, I'm with that chick over in the leather jacket, man. So I went out and told Tracy, that's what happened. I told Tracy that chick just hit on me, and that she was the one that stole from me, and she was super livid. That's what happened. Wow. Talk about being an alcoholic haze. Tracy, I hate to say it, but she kicked the shit out of the girl. She definitely beat her ass, and it was hard to watch. I literally had to tell her, it's good, it's cool, stop. It was nuts, man. But, you know, back then, we were all crazy, drinking, leather jacket wearing, hanging out with biker-type people, metalheads, punk rockers, street people, poets, artists, you know. And I'm not making excuses for anyone's behaviors back then. I'm just telling you the story, how it happened, man, 35 years ago. And boy, how many of us have changed over the years, and some of us stay the same in many ways, right? So flashback forward to the year 1995, which is 3 years after this incident, 3 years after I had written song lyrics and title ideas about that whole thing. I don't know why. That's the way I write, with a song title or an idea or a memory. I write it in a notebook, and then when I go to do songwriting, I gather those and build upon those ideas. So once again, rest in peace to Dean Dirt. Of course, my friend that came to see me in Peoria. Check this out. When he came to see me, it inspired me to write a song called Seeing Double. You can hear that song on my other YouTube channel. It's a song by Bloody and the Country Trash Punks. This is a 7-inch record that was released on Baloney Shrapnel Records in 1995. 2 colors, blue and white. Cover art by Nick Bugas. That cover shows the band, the Country Trash Punks. It was a project band I had assembled for one time only, just to do a record. And it features some great musicians like Mike Garrett, Kim Rippey, Tracy, John Eason, C. Michael French, and Kevin Hine, and myself. Great bunch of musicians. Really fun record, in my opinion. So I switched from Bloody Mess and the Scabs to this project here. It was the first thing I did after Bloody Mess and the Scabs broke up. wrote the song called Seeing Double. Came out on this EP, which has 4 songs, and Seeing Double is one of the songs. It's all about that night, and I expanded on the lyrics and, you know, did a little poetic, what do you call it? What's the word? Never mind. I expanded on the idea. And basically, the lyrics were printed out. It's I think the only song that has lyrics, or the only song that I put the lyric sheet in for when this record came out, because it was the one that meant the most to me. And before I read you the lyrics, if you're interested, here's a picture of me and Tracy right around 1995 when I did this record. Sorry about the bad lighting, folks. Here's a picture of the band, the Country Trash Punks. Pretty cool. Here's another take I found in the old archives of the Country Trash Punks. You see me on the bottom with the beard. Haha. And, yeah, man, I'd like to read the lyrics if you guys care to listen and stay. If you're not, please subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it at all. Leave a comment, man, and I am going to come back with some more regular content super soon. But I'm going to go ahead and lift my shades, and I'm going to read the lyrics to Seeing Double, if I can see them. Maybe not. You know, it's been a long time since I've seen you in my shoes. Who are you to tell me what to do? That old devil in me lives with the demons in my eyes. He's the only one that tells me what to do. He says, open the bottle, drink it up. Pour smoke a fat one, then go down to the bar. If somebody makes you mad, knock him down and tear him up. Don't let nobody ever grind you down. Well, I've been seeing double for so long now. I'm closing one eye just to drive my car. Spending all my dough on a good night. Passing out before it's time to go. Everyone is a friend until the morning, when I wake up and find myself ripped off. Where are all my things, and where's my biker rings, and will somebody please turn the light out? I don't really care about tomorrow, and I don't want to hear it's time to go. Yeah, I know it's late, but I'm still feeling straight, although I'm walking really slow. Well, I've been seeing double for so long now. Closing one eye just to drive my car. Spending all my money on a good night. Passing out before it's time to go. Then it goes, I think that's it, man. Oh yeah, I will say my life has been a good one, although sometimes I wish I was asleep. These manic moments fade, I think I'll just wade. The shallow waters now all seem so deep. And that's pretty much it, man. I just wanted to share that little story about hanging out with my bro Dean and writing that song and how it came into its being constructed, and the funny little story in between. Thanks for being here at Bloody F Mess Official. Cheers, my friends.